Hello everybody, and welcome back to another Think Outside the Container live stream. Today I am working on more finishing of the foundation work. Yesterday was sort of leveling the anchor bolts, making sure they stick out straight up. Today, wire brush attached to the end of a drill, and this wire brush will be used to wire brush off any kind of rust that's formed, as well as to prepare it for the galvanized spray paint I'll be adding to add a protective layer to this. So again, we are live. If you're watching, be sure to comment and ask any questions if you have any in the chat. Let's do this. Pretty much already finished that one. Let's move on to the next one here. How we looking? Julie Bennett is back. Julie Bennett is back again. What's up, Julie? Hello, welcome back. Think Outside the Container Foundation day 20 or something. Yeah, another day. Another day. I will say this works pretty well, this wire brush. It really goes to task. It really pulverizes the rust right off the anchor bolt. Yeah, it's looking a lot better already. 2 down, 62 to go. Let's make sure I'm not missing anything here. All right. Let's keep going here. And just like that, man, it just pulverizes the rust right off. I really wish just YouTube would just leave the chat on screen at all times. So yeah, this is a pretty important step because, I mean, for the obvious reasons, you don't want these anchor bolts, which are integral to the structure of the thing, of the home, to be covered in rust, which will over time compound and get worse and start to weaken things. And so yeah, it's going to be a bit time consuming, but I think it's important. I think it's worth it. Obviously, you got to wear safety protection for this, because it's just a wire brush sending shards of little freaking rust particles and metal everywhere. So obviously, Yep, but I tell you, it works. It works real well. All right, that one's done. Double check the chat. Julie Bennett says, very precise work. Have you had any accidents while building yet? I once used a sledgehammer and cut through the power cord. Damn, that sounds very dangerous. Well, we actually once, right here, actually you can see the massive log. You might be able to see the massive log. Is that it? Yeah. Right there. There's just a massive. In fact, I'll just show you guys real quick because it looked like we were digging up the body of a dead animal. When we were digging holes right here for the foundation, it just so happened that this mammoth creature right here was inside one of the holes. Hell is it? There it is. This mammoth creature, which for some reason is like refusing to go to the shot. I don't know. There. Honestly, it looks like a giant pig or something, but it's just a gigantic tree trunk thing. And yeah, I don't think. No, I think I had pulled a freaking sledgehammer out once for like a few seconds to see if I could just bash it out because it was like intricate through the hole, and it didn't work very well. So we had to move to a saw. So yeah, I don't know. I think you went crazy there, Julie Bennett. Some sledgehammers through power cords. It's madness. But I don't know all the details. Any accidents? No serious kind of accidents or anything yet. You know, not like I've not like friggin', cut my finger off or anything. So no accidents yet, thankfully. Okay, we're moving on to the next pedestal. Now that I think about it. Next. Make sure I got a good shot here for y'all. Live construction work, because why the hell not? Oh, hedge trimmer. I read sledgehammer. Big difference there, right? Big difference. Sledgehammer. Yeah. Oh, okay. A hedge trimmer. That makes perfect sense. Yeah, that just seems like something that would happen, right? It just seems like something that would happen. They got to start making wireless everything, which I guess you could have a gas powered or battery powered, but yeah, that sucks. So what happened? What happened when you cut through the power cord? Did you electrocute yourself? Effie Viking, welcome. What's up, bro? Nice to have you here. No shock at all, says Julie Bennett when she put a hedge trimmer through the power cord. Wow, that's crazy. I waited for one for half a second, but nothing. Anticlimax. Yeah, you're just sitting there like, I'm supposed to die, right? That's what they say. Hey, safety first. I guess better safe than sorry. Fe Viking, what's up, man? What's up, man? What's up, man? Nice to have you here, bro. How are things happening on your side of the earth? If you're just joining, I am just doing some final touches here on the foundation. Yesterday I was leveling the anchor bolts, and today I am scraping off, wire brushing off rust in preparation for some galvanized paint. Some galvanized paint that I'll be spraying onto these bolts to give them a nice protective seal. A nice protective seal. Make sure that they're not gonna turn to dust. I mean, look at this. See, this is why you got to wear safety glasses during this, because I mean it's just spraying particles everywhere. The zombies everywhere. Hang on. I don't know why YouTube like takes the chat off. Everywhere getting ready for the. Oh yeah, I mean of course. I mean, if you're not getting ready for it, what are you doing? I mean. But like I said in my recent video, I think it's the best of times and the worst of times. I think it's the best of times and the worst of times. And I think we're living in times right now where the difference between people who like the way things are going and have nothing to say about it, and those who'd rather resist, the difference between those two groups of people has never been more clear. Next. And so you just don't, it's almost like we've been forced to see, it's almost like those who are wearing the covering, it's almost like a big spotlight indicating so many things about who they are and what they're willing to tolerate. And so we now have a clear idea that if you live in a highly dense area, you're surrounded by people that you have nothing in common with at a very deep level. And so it's the best of times, worst of times, and I think it's really about where you choose to live and who you choose to live around. And it's never been easier to tell who is a problem, who is fundamentally opposed to what you believe in, because the face coverings can help point you in the direction to people who are not in alignment with your thinking. Now, yeah, a lot of people wear the face thing because they have to. It's their job. See what's going on over here. Oh man. Holy lordy. Damn, you guys, so wow. Jesus. That's a little too close to home, man. When you got one of them right inside your home, that's terrifying. But again, here we are, wire brushing off rust from the anchor bolts. In preparation for really the ultimate goal here is crane day. I just want to get the containers on the foundation already. And that's going to be done with the crane, obviously. And so I am just getting everything ready for that big day. Very big day. Yeah, they look a lot better. Oh yeah, they look fantastic. We moved out to 5 acres in the Minnesota country. When did you move out? Did you move out, in the middle of the big 2020 circus, or had you already moved out before that? Like, was it in response to the circus? All right, we're going to move on to the next pedestal. Put this one a little further back this time. Yeah. Again, I want to say thanks to everybody who's watching here. Think outside the container. Live stream, live container home construction. Crane day coming up, people. Crane day. As you can see, the foundation is just about done. But just little finishing touches, man. Just little, it's like a, I don't know, it's like a pyramid or something. The closer you get to the top, the smaller the blocks get until you get to that capstone at the top. So it's like precision. Just first you start with a giant piece of grass with nothing on it. And then you start with your batter boards and your strings and your 3, 4, 5 method. And then next thing you know, now you start to dig the holes. And then like, it's like narrowed precision is like the word that narrowed precision. How do you get 17 cubic yards of concrete accurate up to within quarter of an inch margin of error tolerance? Narrowed precision. We moved in July 2019. I sensed something was coming. Wow. Damn. Early, man. You got out early, bro. Good for you. It's because, you want to know why? It's because your senses aren't disoriented by a false belief that the ground under your feet is flying around everywhere. You're you're grounded. You're grounded, and your senses are not jumbled up in a blender. But yeah, 2019 is early, and that's an early start. Good for you, bro. That's fantastic. I'm surprised she hasn't realized yet. I mean, at this point, if you don't see the circus for what it is, I mean, my goodness, what more do you need to see? What more do you need to see at this point? Julie asked a question yesterday um, about whether or not this is my forever home. Oh, today was tough. She made sure. Oh my goodness. Ugh. God. Oh. Yeah, I don't want to get too political on this channel for obvious reasons. I actually want to see what would happen if I have a YouTube channel that isn't, um, what's that word? I just want to see what it's like again to not have little trickery done on one of my channels to, let's say, repress its reach. So I'm not going to get too political here, um, because I just we all know what's going to happen. But that's crazy. I might have to do a video on that, on the other thing, the other place. I might, um, because I just find that to be. I have a story about uh, some local guy who cut my hair, and really cool dude, really nice guy. It has to do with school and kids. Um, I think I'm gonna do a video on this later. Don't worry, I'll keep you private, FE Viking. I'm not gonna mention you any specific details, but yeah, that's just brutal. Pyramids. I don't know. You're allowed to talk about the pyramids though. You can talk about that, especially if it has to do with aliens. Um, but yeah. I don't really know much about that topic. Who built the pyramids? I think it was built in the last century to create the illusion that we've been here for a very long time. To create the illusion that it started primitive and became advanced. But that's too political. So yeah, but yeah, I mean, as far as the construction of them, yeah, who knows? I don't know what. Who do you think? Who do you think built them? Who do you think built the pyramids? Um, who do you think built the pyramids, Julie? Uh, so yeah, think outside the container construction live stream. We are here, getting the final finishing touches done for the shipping container home in preparation for the big crane day. And that's going to be a big one, obviously. That's going to be major. It's going to be, oof, oh man, wow, big. I think the main reason it's going to be such a big day, crane day, when the containers are craned on top of the foundation, is going to be, um, AB. What's up, AB? Check out. Yeah, sure, 100%. My God, this is hilarious. So why so tall? Fundaments. Wow, you guys were commenting a lot while I was had my back turned. Um, Giants. Wow, interesting. So instead of we started small and became big, you're saying that We used to be big and now we've gotten small. Well, yeah, yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't I mean, everything is inverted, right? Um, why so tall? Well, if you're talking about these, the main reason has to do with the septic system. So let me talk a little bit about that. If you turn around, and where is it? If you look at that tree right there, you see a little, there's like a little yellow circle mark on it. That was placed there by a lady from the local health department. Um, it's called a benchmark. There's a nail hammered in right there, and that nail, she did some measurements. She uh, she found out how far deep you got to dig to get to the water table. That's how far you got to dig before you hit water. All this stuff she figured out in order to determine the septic system. It's out in a rural area, so you need septic system. Um, but the septic systems are made in a very specific way, and they have to be done in a certain way where they have to be a certain distance away from the water table so that it's enough time for your wastewater to naturally trickle through the soil and be filtered and cleaned out. You don't want that to hit the water table, um, but it also needs enough time. And, but it also depends on the type of soil you have. So if you have clay versus sand versus whatever, different soil types do a different have a different level of effectiveness in filtering out wastewater from your septic system. So the problem is, if I wanted, let's turn back around here. That nail, that benchmark nail that the Department of Health lady hammered into the tree is designed to establish an elevation out here. Designed to establish an elevation out here. And that elevation was critical for when we did the foundation. Main reason? Main reason was I wanted the wastewater to flow from the home, down the toilets, down the bathrooms, all the sinks and all that. I wanted the wastewater to flow from the container home uh, naturally using gravity. I guess what some people might call relative density. I wanted the wastewater to flow naturally down into the septic system, but it can't go, the wastewater can't come from the container home into the septic system just with relative density, unless the container home is at a higher elevation than the septic system. So I had to make the septic the container home itself had to be a certain elevation higher up than the septic system. So the wastewater can just naturally flow through the pipes and down into the septic system. Otherwise, I would have had to have gotten some pump that then forces the wastewater upwards to the septic system. Part of the reason that it's an issue is because out here, I think it's mainly the water table is so high up, it's so close to the surface of the ground. Most people, when you drive around here, their septic systems are actually above ground. It's called a mound septic system. It's above the ground. So you see like these giant freaking mounds, they're about like 4 foot tall, sticking above the ground. I don't like the way they look, but it's the way it's got to be done out here. They might span 20, 30 feet. Um, it's a, they're a hassle to make. They look like a real hassle to build. Um, and it has to be above ground because the water table's so close. So you have to, almost like you have to elevate the septic system to artificially create more terrain for it to go through before hitting the water table. Um, and so because of that, uh, normally it probably wouldn't have to be this high up, the container home. But because out here it's usually a mound septic system above the ground, it forced the elevation of the home higher than you normally would. Now, to be fair, this isn't that. I mean, if I just like stand next to one of these, stand next to this one, they're not that bad, but they are tall. I mean, once the, I mean, I can almost walk underneath this foundation. I could, I can, you know, I mean, here I am. I'm just chilling. So yeah, there's definitely a really big crawl space, but it had to be done, and it worked out in the end. So whatever. But yeah, that's why we did it. Lengthy. Yeah, you can imagine it took some planning. There, that's the answer. Yeah. Hello, Topple Knot. You're back. The crazy Florida man is at it again, he says. How deep are the footings below grade? We have to be 4 inches below grade in Minnesota. The footings are, um, they are 15, yeah, 15 inches. The footing is a 15-inch concrete block, 3 feet by 3 feet by 15 inches in like depth. It's just, it's massive. Yeah. Make sure the foundation is straight and level. Yeah, we want to make sure that it is nice and straight and level. I'm pretty sure that these shipping containers, when they make them at a very crisp 90-degree angle, okay? When they're making these rectangular blocks that have to be stacked on each other for transport, I'm pretty sure they're making these 90-degree angles, okay? So this isn't a level straight line here, this container. This is a 90-degree rectangle. There's no there's no curve there. It's a straight line. So, yeah, straight and level foundation indeed. So, yeah. But again, I want to say thanks for everybody who's tuning in here. Live container home construction. We are just getting the foundation, finishing touches ready for the big day, which is crane day. And crane day is, I just got to get all this stuff ready. I just got to get it all ready because I really want to get the ball moving. Crane day was supposed to be yesterday. In my mind, I wanted it to be yesterday. But obviously that didn't happen. And it's probably not going to be for another 12 days or something. Hopefully. The problem is I ran into a bit of an issue. And that has to do with the location of these. That has to do with the location of these beams underneath the shipping container. I'll be right back in a second. Yeah, they're good. With the location of these beams underneath the shipping container that hold the floor up on the shipping container. And the problem was simply that just where these beams under the container land. It turns out that one of the containers is different in the location of these beams, and so that could create a conflict where the beam might land on one of these anchor bolts, whereas the beam is supposed to go between these anchor bolts here. So I got to do some measurements. Here's the thing though, is like, how do you measure where these beams, the location of beams, where do you measure the location of beams on a container when they're underneath the container and the container is sitting on the ground? So what I've had to been doing lately, I literally have to get a shovel and dig a hole right there on the side of the container to locate the location of certain beams. So yeah, it's not ideal, but it'll work. Let's move on here to our next one. Just take you guys with me. So I just take you guys with me. Yeah, think outside the container. Live container home construction. You got that right, FE Viking. Wonder how long it takes to set up the crane, not including hooking the containers. How long does it take to set up the crane? That's a good question. I don't know, but I'll be filming it, so you will find out. My biggest anxiety about crane day, it really is about the precise placement of the containers. The containers have to be very precisely placed. And you're talking about shipping containers that weigh like, I don't know, is it 4,000 pounds, 8,000 pounds? I forget how much they weigh. But you can just imagine like the level of accuracy required to grab and lift the container and put it on a foundation within, you know, a 1/4 inch margin of error tolerance. It's crazy. So, you know, but I think at the end of the day, as long as I do the due diligence, I make sure I know where the location of the beams are under the container, just to double check, make sure they all actually fit. It's just a matter of taking your time with that crane and putting them right where they gotta go. You know, when I look back on the last 20, what has it been like about 20 work days on this foundation? It's been so much work, you know, making sure everything is so precise, making sure everything is exactly where it's supposed to be. That sometimes I'm like, man, this is a lot of work just for the foundation. Yeah, it's just a foundation, right? Like, who cares? It's just a foundation, right? But it's very important, you know, it's very important for the structure of the home. It's very important for keeping it you know, structurally sound. And a good foundation that's accurate is going to allow me to come and drop the containers on here, and these containers should line up nice and perfect, right angles, nice. And so, you know, you put a lot of time into it so that it pays off in the end. So yeah, just one last little side here. We're getting some sprinkling. I hope it doesn't just rain like a... Here, I'm gonna have to put you guys in a shelter real quick. This might get boring for a few minutes. I'm gonna put you guys inside the shipping container while it's raining. And what I need is like a little umbrella or something. I'm gonna put you guys in here. You're now inside the container. You are now inside the container. Don't lock us in, yeah. So I'm going to leave you guys in here until the rain stops. And unfortunately, you'll have to watch from a distance, and I won't be able to give commentary, but I'm not going to hang up. I'm not going to end it. So, yeah, exactly. Exactly right, Julie. Yeah. Yeah, that's right, Topple Knot. I've never been in one of these before. It's okay. Just, just make sure that the 400-pound door doesn't trap you in the big metal oven forever. One guy told me these doors weigh like 400 pounds. Okay, I'm going to be out there working in the rain. I'll be back. Thank you guys for tuning in. You guys are awesome. It's pretty loud in here with the rain hitting the container. Pretty loud in here. But I will, I'm going to try to talk anyways. I didn't think it was going to rain this hard. I thought it would be like a light sprinkle that my phone couldn't handle. But it's like, it's just insane. And then I'm absolutely drenched. I wouldn't even be able to walk back into the RV, just that soaked. So I'm going to wait it out in here. Hopefully my shouting isn't too annoying. You know, every time it rains, all I can think to myself is, man, I should be collecting this rainwater. That's all I think to myself. Man, look at all that water. It's like, I could totally just, I mean, it's like, I didn't pay $4,000 for a well, so I could fantasize about rainwater collection. It is what it is, but it's a lot of water. I mean, you know, maybe I can use some type of a passive irrigation system. You know, maybe, you know, because I want to be growing food and stuff. So I wonder if I could maybe collect rainwater on, I've seen this before. They're like barrels that are elevated like 5 feet in the air, and they're set out right next to your raised bed gardens, right out there in the garden. And they collect water high up so that through relative density, what some people call gravity, the water can then come down and then into pipes and down, and then it can water your raised bed garden without the need of any electrical water pumping. It just seems like such a precious resource just wasted. So again, I want to say thank you for everybody who's tuning in and watching. We have gotten absolutely pummeled by rain here. So we are taking a short break. It'll be fantastic for when you're growing your own food. Water butts, they work very well. Toponaut says, I really like to say relative density. Well, if you don't know what that means, then check it out. Shipping Containers and a Man from Miami. I'm Reminded of Dexter. I never watched that show. I mean, I tried to watch like the first episode. For whatever reason, I couldn't get through it. Relative density. Wow, we're getting rained on. They're cold water butts, the barrels, right, okay. Yeah, seems like a decent idea. For water collection, right. So this got interesting. So we're sitting here inside of a container, waiting out the rain. So yeah, I feel obliged to keep you guys entertained with some kind of commentary. Heating the containers. It's a very good question, heating the containers. So, well, where I live here in Florida, heating isn't really a concern. Cooling is a concern, and that's where you get into air conditioning. That being said, sometimes it gets cold enough down here that it really helps to have a heater. So, over here in the States, we have combination heater air conditioners. They can cool and they can heat. They have these kinds of models where literally, like, this is the wall, and there's a unit that's high up on your wall, and the unit, there's a tube that passes through the wall to the outside to a machine that produces the hot and the cold air. And they have these little units here that then they control the temperature basically. They regulate the temperature by blasting hot and cold air into the house. That's basically it. It's going to be an electronic system, and obviously, I'm going to be insulating the containers, insulating them, and There's so many different ways to insulate shipping containers. As you can see, these panels, these are like corrugated panels. They come in and out. If you get your normal flat board insulation and you put it up against this, the panels that stick out are going to create a pocket where the corrugated goes back in. So pocket, pocket, pocket. And so some people say that can be problematic because moisture can begin to form in those pockets because it's steel. And I think it's a sudden change in temperature can cause the steel to like build up moisture, dew droplets or something. So what people do instead, a lot of people do is, number one, they get spray foam insulation. So it's like this thick insulation and you spray it and it just globs everything, you know, just totally covers every contour. But there's a company that sells board insulation, boards, but that are actually corrugated to match the shape of a container. So then when you put this board, it actually fills in the hole, the gaps in the corrugation as well. But I heard those are insanely expensive. I heard some professional guy who's a professional contractor who also builds container homes. He's like, nah, bro. It's like, I think his YouTube channel's name is Containing Luxury, but he's like, I think he basically said, yeah, they're good, they're useful, but I think he said, you know, the other methods for insulating containers are great too. So check out Hugelkultur, raised garden beds. I built a few and had great results. Yeah, I heard about those. For anybody who doesn't know what Hugelkultur is, Hugelkultur, I think it's German, and basically it's a type of raised bed garden. Rain's finally going away, but you never know, it might just come right back. Raised bed gardens where you sort of fill the bottom half or so with big ass branches, tree trunks, you know, stuff that's going to slowly decompose, and it sort of acts as a regenerator of the bed in a long term. And then on top of all the big trunks and thick branches and stuff, then you start putting like maybe lighter stuff like little twigs and old leaves and stuff, and then you can start adding some soil and then finally compost. It's supposed to be like this thing. There's so much research that I gotta do. You know, they talk about high IQ. They talk about like having lots of tabs open. Well, I mean, you know, it's one of those things where I'll have 40 tabs open and I'll just be researching the best method. And composting was a big thing for me. Composting was one of those topics while we sit inside the shipping container waiting for the rain to stop. Composting was one of those topics. Composting was one of those topics that really move this over a little bit. Composting was definitely one of those topics that I went down a rabbit hole of research. Because there's so many methods, you know, there's a standard, take your kitchen scraps, take your old branches, your grass clippings, throw them in a pile, hot compost. But then I found people were doing chicken run composting. But before I found chicken run composting, I found chicken manure composting. You take the manure of a chicken, which I think is high in nitrogen, and you throw that into the pile along with your browns, your carbon, and it creates a really rich mixture. But then I heard that some people were actually doing something called chicken run composting, where your compost pile is inside the chicken run. where the chickens run around, they do their scratching and stuff, you actually build your pile in there. And when you throw your chicken scraps, when you throw some sprouted grains into that pile, because different people feed different things to chickens. Grain is a popular option, but I heard if you sprout the grain, where you basically just give it a little bit of moisture, you throw it into some soil, and the grain sprouts into like a little piece of greenery, a little shrubby thing that the chickens can eat. Apparently it's more bang for your buck. You're getting way more nutritional content out of a single grain seed, if it's called a seed. I don't even know if it's called a seed or not. Than if you just throw the grain in there, if you sprout grains. So grain's dying out pretty well. I'm going to wait a little bit more slowly. So you throw all your stuff into the chicken run, and a pile starts to form. You throw your kitchen scraps. You throw some of the chicken feed. You can just throw it on top of there if you want. And the chickens will go to work on your compost pot, to the point where they're doing way more mixing and pecking and adjusting in a way that some people say is far superior to a human coming out once every few days with a pitchfork and turning it over and doing a little bit of mixing. When the chickens are scratching and pecking and clawing, some people say that it's a process that's more enriching to the compost. That's what they say. So again, I go down these research rabbit holes. I'm not just going to buy chickens and let them run around. I want to know what system I'm going to have in place. So it sucks because I want to have chickens. I really want to have chickens. It sounds like fun. I really want to have chickens, but I don't want to just rush. I don't want to rush it. So again, if anybody's just tuning in right now, think outside the container home, live construction. I know I'm stuck inside of a shipping container right now because it started raining really, really intensely. And so that's why I'm doing this here, giving you guys some commentary while we wait for the rain to die down. Oh, you don't want to zoom in, that's for sure. Stop it. Stop zooming in. There you go. I think that's it. So yeah, I'm doing finishing touches on the container home foundation. As you can see, the foundation's out there. If you're a bit surprised, if you've been following the official Think Outside the Container episodes, and you're surprised that all of a sudden the foundation's basically done, it's because the episodes are delayed by about a month or so. And so, I decided I want to start doing live streams. It just seems like a cool, fun thing to do. So the live streams will be more up to date, and the episodes will be more in depth, and they're going to cover all the nuances and the details. So, for meat or eggs, says Julie Bennett. Definitely for eggs, and I've thought about for meat as well. And that's when you get into the topic of how do you harvest? How do you harvest the chickens? And harvest is like a fancy word for, ending their life so you can use their bodies. I don't know. I'll have to think about that one, whether or not I'd be able to end the chicken's life myself, I think it's something I will do. I think it's something I will do at some point. It's you don't want to think of the poor little chicken. You don't want to think of them in terms of just pure dollars and cents. But the truth is, you get a lot more bang for your buck if you end up using the body as well, right? Or maybe you don't. I don't know. But I don't see why not. If it's past its egg-laying years and it's still going to produce a great meat, I don't see why not, take advantage. While you still can. So, FE Viking says chickens are fun. We have 9 hens. That's crazy. That's great. That's awesome. Egg laying hens. Julie says, I don't think I could kill a chicken faced with the actual reality. Yeah. There's just various ways to do it. The way that I'm leaning towards right now is not the hatchet beheading. Definitely not the grab them by the head and swing them around to the neck snaps. That's just like, seems so retarded. It's a method where you get like a long stick or a shovel and you gently place it on the ground, and then you tuck the chicken's head underneath the long wooden handle of the shovel. And then you put some pressure on the handle so that it's putting some pressure on the chicken. You know, I don't think it hurts that much when you're just putting the pressure of the shovel. The painful part is when you grab it by the legs and you pull until it snaps. There's no pretty way about it. You know, there's no pretty. It is what it is, right? But it looks like I've seen various videos of people doing it, and they claim, you know, that the chicken, you know, it's maybe a little bit of pain for like a second, and then that's it. It's out. Once the neck snaps, it's out. There's no pretty way about it, really. There's no pretty way. So I don't know. Maybe I'll go vegan again. I don't know. All right, we're gonna wait a few more minutes. I'm gonna go grab a bottle of water, and I'll be right back. And then we'll be back into wire brush, removing the rust from the anchor bolts. Finishing touches on the container home foundation and lead up to the big day, crane day. When the crane comes in, grabs the containers, drops them off. Be right back. FE Viking says, I don't think I could kill my hens, but I do love fried chicken. You know, I guess it's like, here's a question, you know. You know, they say humane killing is, for example, the shovel method. It's funny, every time I say shovel method, it sounds like you're grabbing a shovel and just banging. That's not what it is, obviously. The neck break method, is that more humane than how it might pass away and die from natural causes out in the wild? We're talking eaten by an alligator, captured by vultures, pecked alive by vultures here, we're talking. Dying of an illness that takes weeks or months to finally kill it and it's pain. I mean, you know, when a human is looking after a chicken, if a chicken has a serious illness that's causing it immense pain and it can't lay eggs anymore and it's suffering, the human has the power to end its life and end its suffering, which is what you normally would do, because you'd be like, this chicken's not productive, it's not healthy. It's time to cull it. Look, I'm no chicken expert. This is just what I've seen, like, from other people, the vibe I get. Like, when a chicken is sick and there's nothing else they can do, like, you end it. So, you know, So I guess my point is, if it's loose and free and wild, it's gonna pass inevitably. Um, so what do? You know, is it better off in our hands? Effie Viking says, I have axed 4 chickens before. I won't do that again. Wow. Why? Why won't you do it again? I mean, you did it 4 times, right? So why did you think that after the first one or after the second one? Is it because you hadn't had hens before? And now you're attached to the hens? Is that what's going on? Because that's a good point, though. You know, what if, I think Effie Viking said this a moment ago. He said he wouldn't be able to kill his hens, right? You know, if I get attached to some of my chickens, you know, it might be really hard to, yeah, it might be really hard to end it. We're still getting the light sprinkled. And my phone does not have a phone cover, so I'm gonna wait just a few more minutes and then we're back out. We're back out and we're back at it. I want to say thanks again for everybody tuning in, everybody who smashed the thumbs up. If you are enjoying this live construction stream and you haven't smacked the thumbs up already, go ahead and smack it. We're apparently that's supposed to help the YouTube algorithm or something. The ever elusive YouTube algorithm. So go ahead and smack it. And yeah, just appreciate everybody who's tuned in, commented, chatted, asked questions. If you have any questions, feel welcome to ask them in the chat. I'm here working and commentating as I go. So Effie Viking says, it was winter and the blood was all over the snow. My children did not like it. Oh man. Winter's coming indeed. Yeah. It's messy, man. I just hope it don't start raining again. But it might. So, what you gonna do? All right, let's get back out there. That took a while. It might start raining again, but I'm not just gonna wait around indefinitely. Let's get this ball rolling here, because I would love to at least finish grinding, but the thing is, I don't want to leave them out in the wet overnight, because it's probably going to end up defying the purpose of taking the rust off. It's probably just going to rust all over again. So, you know, we'll have to see. The way we like it. Just give me a second. All right, Julie. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care. Thank you. Slap some grease on those bolts. I'm gonna paint them with some galvanized paint. Yep. Yep. Let's get the GoPro time lapse back on. See, this is for the pre-scripted Think Outside the Container episodes. But don't worry, those episodes are still coming. Second 4K wide. All right, let's finish this job here. I'm hoping the sun comes out later so these suckers can dry and I can paint them, because I don't think they'll last overnight without getting rusted again. I already did that one. Nice. Nice. Uh-oh. I hear rainwater coming back. Okay. So now this time lapse is done because we're moving on to the next row of columns. So let's move to the next ones. Put this over here. Actually, I'm gonna put this over here. All right, guys. Unfortunately, it's getting too wet with rain. It's starting to rain too much. It's gonna obliterate my phone. So I want to say thank you guys. We'll be ending the stream here. I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in, for watching, for commenting. That's it. We're here, Container Home Construction, getting ready for Crane Day. So I will, obviously, I'm going to keep you guys posted with every step that I keep going through. So again, thank you guys for watching. It's going to rain. My phone's going to explode. So again, thank you guys. Take care. Appreciate it. Later, FE Viking, if you're still in the house. There's just so many people from earlier. Topple Knot, not sure if you're still there, Topple Knot, but later to you as well. All right, guys. Bye-bye.